Hey, how's it going? I'll just back in with another video related to these blood moons. And so just want to, remind people that, I made a prediction in 2019 that, if Christ doesn't return by the end of 2023, that, I would destroy the Bible, and so that was a very, very bold statement. And I don't know if I would say that, I would word it differently, for sure. I would definitely word it more carefully. And but the reason I stated that is because I knew that I wasn't going to be here to do that. So I knew that a Bible was not going to be destroyed. But it's looking like now we can make these kind of predictions, and statements, and zero in on it because of the verse that I'm going to read in Joel 2:31, but and also because of the mark of the beast, ultimately. So we're getting down to the details, the day-to-day, really, I would say, of watching, anticipating Christ's return. And then the nice thing about this verse in Joel 2:31 to 32 is that it tells us a major event that's going to happen prior. And again, these blood moons happen regularly, but it gives us sort of like landmarks to look for, okay? And then after the next one passes, then it's very likely that it will be close to that one. It's not like God would have a lunar eclipse, a blood moon pass, and then have it be like the day before the next one. Okay, and then that seems unlikely too because of the dates that I'll show you here when these occur, because they're all planned. But so we just had one that just passed, November 19th. And so the interesting thing for me personally, just somebody who, again, made that statement, in 2019, January 2019, and then having this 5-year window, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. And so these dates make that virtually certain that it has to be in that window, okay? Because then, Joel 2:31 also has to get fulfilled. But so we just had this November 19th one, which, made the moon appear this reddish color. And so all of North America will see the whole event, which is kind of cool. And so the next one that's going to occur is May 16th, 2022. Okay. And the cool thing about these next two is that their duration is going to be 1 hour and 24 minutes. So 124, 144. November 8th, 2022 is the one after that. So, and then the interesting thing about the one that just passed is that type of an eclipse has not happened since the year 1440. And that has a number 144 in it. So I want people to understand that number is important because when it says, "Oh, God so loved the world," in John 3:16, it's talking about the elect. Okay. And so even this most recent eclipse, the duration of it was 3:28, 3 hours and 28 minutes. What's 2 times 8? 16. So it has 316 numerology in it. John 3:16, that's talking about the 144,000. Okay. That's talking about the government, cosmos. Okay. It's talking about his elect. Okay. And so all of this is for them, that group. Okay. And so that's why, it's important to be aware of that number and to ultimately model their behavior. And anybody who's teaching the Bible, they have to be of the elect because only they've obtained it and the rest were blinded, according to Romans 11:7. So, it's a very, very elite group. And so they're the ones that have understanding. And then all of this ultimately is for that group. Okay, Romans 11:7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Okay, so these are the truthers of all truthers, is one way that I describe them. And so, but I just find it interesting that all these eclipses have that number in it, certainly like the one that just passed, and then these two. So it just shows that all of this was set from the foundation, of the world. And that group had foreknowledge of God, okay? And so, just know that. So now, let's look at these. Okay, so next two, like I said, in May 16, 2022, November 8, 2022, okay? So those could also potentially fulfill this verse. Joel 2:31 to 32, the sun shall be turned into darkness. So we have solar eclipses probably more regularly. And then, we had that ring of fire one earlier, this year, which is a pretty major one. And the moon into blood. And so that's what we're talking about here, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. And that's in 2:31, 2:31, 33. Verse 32, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. So in 2:32, It's, you add that together, that's 34. 3 4 is 444, FFS 666, talking about deliverance. Okay. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, and as the Lord hath said, in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. And so 666 oftentimes is used to reference Christ's second coming, and deliverance. And so why does it say before the great and terrible day of the Lord come? Why is this terrible? It's great for that group that's going to be saved, but right after this occurs, this salvation event, then you have the wrath of God. That's why that's a terrible day, even though it's a great day for that group that's taken away. Like it says here, for in Mount Zion and Jerusalem shall be deliverance. So it's good news for them, okay? But after this occurs, according to 1 Thessalonians 5:9, begins the wrath of God, okay? And so that's why it's a terrible day. It's a great day for that elect group, and it's a terrible day for the rest of the earth. And so everything is consistent, Joel 2:31-32 and all that. So, but the nice thing about this verse is that it tells us that prior to it, there's going to be a blood moon. Okay, which is very concrete, because they're very rigid. It's not like even the stars falling, because that can happen, in small amounts, really all the time. But blood moons are very distinct landmarks. Okay, and so we just had the one that passed. Then we have these two that I referenced in November 22. The second one, November 8th, 2022, and May 16th, 2022, and then you have the one after that is in March 14th, 2025. Okay. And so this, again, to me, it's more qualitative, but at this point, it basically proves that window that I quote predicted is absolutely true, because there's no way that Christ is going to return after the March 14th, 2025 eclipse, okay, producing the blood moon, and then Christ will appear and then begin the wrath of God, which is a 1260-day period. So there's who knows what the state of America is going to be in by the end of this year, much less next year, and then much less 2025. Okay. So, and then the one after that is September 7th, 2025. So, again, I just find it interesting. And so, it's still qualitative, it's still a qualitative argument, but I would say for sure that window of 2023 is absolutely solid, and then there's no wiggle room at all. And so I stand comfortable with that statement that I made, even if it didn't have all the information that I have now. And there's no way that Christ is returning after March 14th, 2025. Absolutely no chance. So, and again, I would just suspect that after these eclipses happen, it's not like the next second or the next day, but it's close to that day. Okay. It's not like in that gap between 2022 and 2025, it's not a day before March 14th, then, the one I was talking about 2 years ago, I don't think it's going to work like that. So the eclipse happens, and then on the order of days, there's, something, that's triggering it. So it's not going to be 6 months down the road or anything like that. So that's why I would say that it pretty much has to be this one or one of these next two, in 2022. So again, it also adds to the statements that I make that it's very, very likely that Christ will return this year or next year. And so, I'll put the link to this article below. And so, it's looking more and more clear to me that, Christ's second coming is imminent. And then the nice thing about Joel 2:31-32 is it gives us these landmarks, to look out for. And then, again, if I am one of the 144,000, then it's going to be this one, okay? Because May 16th would be a stretch. I could hang around for maybe to the end of May or so with what I have in savings, but I'm not going to be teaching, after this year, but that would be a stretch. And, I would say it's unlikely unless it literally happens that day or the next day or something like that, which again, I don't think that's exactly the way it works, but it's obviously possible. But, if I am one, then it's this one, if I am one of the 144,000. And so it will be any day between ultimately now and roughly that date, for the second one. And so that's the window, that we're looking at. And so, I don't know, next year, I'll be kind of neutral to the Bible. I'm not going to go along with this narrative or anything like that. I'm just going to be kind of wrapping things up on my own. And really, I'm not really recruiting anybody or anything, through my channel. That's not the point of it. It's just to demonstrate that I'm not deceived, and I'm a candidate for the elect. And so anybody who is going to be saved, like I read in Joel 2:31-32, it's been predestined from the beginning. We know that now. So I'm not out here to get disciples or numbers or views or clicks or likes or anything. It's just strictly to demonstrate that I'm not deceived and basically just a pastime. So I don't feel like a responsibility to teach after or whatever. And the majority of people on YouTube are not real people. And that's been very, very, it's very, very obvious. Like, they don't care. Like, they just play dumb. They just play dumb, which actually supports the Bible being true, because there would be no reason to have people that are just actors, which is like really almost all of YouTube. So it's a weird form of, proving that the Bible is true, that there are that many actors and they're all swarming in this one place called YouTube. But, I don't feel any responsibility or anything like that. The people that know, okay, at this point, and the people that are going to be saved, it's already been predetermined, from the beginning of this earth being made. So it's not anything even in our lifetime that anybody decided it or anything like that. There's no lever you can pull or whatever. If you're slated to be saved, it's going to happen. And so, I know that, and I take comfort in that. So, January 1, 2022 onwards, like I said, if Christ doesn't return prior to that, I'm just going to rename my channel to The Mind of Shreg, and then just have it as like a reference, and then just for people to visit it. And then I may put up a disclaimer kind of thing that, basically, again, I would reiterate my prior prediction that if Christ doesn't return prior to the end of 2023, then I would just neglect my entire channel for sure. And then I would actually say to neglect the entire Bible at that point. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.